Aiden was extremely tired and sad, staring out the window. He felt so terrible that he thought about giving up on life. But what had made things so bad? And why had the whole world changed so much in just one day? The story begins 42 days earlier. Aiden woke up, the woman he had met at the club the night before saying goodbye and leaving his house. After she left, he tried to start a new day by turning on the TV. Suddenly, a nationwide emergency broadcast appeared on the screen while alarm sirens echoed from outside. This frightened him, but despite his fear, Aiden stepped out onto the balcony to see what was happening. Outside was a scene of chaos and destruction, people panicking, running in all directions and screaming. Amid the crowd, he saw a woman left behind. More horrifyingly, a few people lunged at her aggressively like wild animals. Witnessing this, Aiden was terrified, and at that moment, a strange man rushed into his living room. The man introduced himself as Brandon, saying he was the neighbor from the apartment next door. In his panic, Aiden asked Brandon what was happening outside. Brandon recounted that while out for a morning run, he had encountered a group of people acting insanely, attacking others without any clear reason. He mentioned he had been bitten by one of them, so he fled into Aiden's apartment for shelter. After checking the wound in the bathroom, Aiden felt uneasy, grabbed a knife for self-defense, and returned to watch the news on TV. The reports stated that a horrific pandemic had broken out globally. This virus caused infected people's eyes to turn red. They screamed madly, and then completely lost control, attacking and biting others. Anyone bitten would become infected and turn into what was described as zombies. After learning this, Aiden told Brandon about the dangerous nature of the virus and how bitten people would turn into zombies. He raised the knife and demanded that Brandon leave the apartment. Brandon tried to reassure him that he was fine, but it was clear the virus was starting to affect him. Brandon reluctantly left, and immediately after, he was attacked by the zombies outside, a horrifying sight that Aiden witnessed through the door's peephole. At this point, Aiden decided to lock the door tightly, following the only advice broadcast on TV: stay indoors and isolate to avoid infection. In fear and isolation, he began drinking alcohol to soothe his panic. He realized his phone had no signal, completely cutting him off from the outside world. During this, he discovered messages sent from his father that morning. Aiden hadn't been able to read his father's messages earlier, and when he finally did, he discovered a heartbreaking truth. In the first message, his father talked about plans to meet that morning, but the tone quickly changed. The subsequent messages revealed that his parents were no longer safe and instructed Aiden to take care of his sister and protect himself. Desperately trying to contact them but getting no response, Aiden gradually realized his parents might have become victims of the zombie virus. Despite the immense pain, he decided to follow their advice and survive at all costs. He marked the first day of his isolated life with a pen stroke on the wall. 6 days passed in solitude. Aiden tried to kill time and ensure his safety by freezing the front door to prevent anyone or anything from entering. He heard on TV that due to the widespread pandemic, water supplies might soon be cut off and people should conserve water. To combat loneliness and anxiety, he began recording video diaries at night, sharing his feelings of fear and despair. 2 weeks after the crisis began, the situation hadn't improved but had worsened. Aiden realized his food supplies were running low and he would have to go outside soon, a thought that triggered a panic attack. Things became more serious when a zombie crawled into the apartment through the bathroom vent. Aiden luckily defeated it with a baseball bat, tossed the body out, and sealed the vent. After a month locked in the apartment, Aiden decided it was time to go out. However, he was quickly overwhelmed by the zombies. He barely escaped and returned to the apartment using the refrigerator to block the door again. Many days passed, and the city lost power completely, plunging everyone into darkness as no one maintained the systems. Feeling utterly desperate and alone, Aiden began thinking about ending his life. That was the opening scene of the story. But just as he was about to give up, he saw a girl on the balcony of the building across from him. That sight reignited his will to live. Aiden decided to find a way to contact her. His laptop was out of battery and couldn't be recharged, so he chose to write messages on pieces of paper to exchange. He learned her name was Eva, and she was also trapped alone in her apartment. For the first time in months, both felt warmth from being able to talk to another person. Eva revealed that she had run out of drinking water, which worried Aiden, and he promised to find a way to help her. After many days, he tried to improve his life, and when it rained, Aiden seized the opportunity to collect rainwater for drinking and bathing, as he hadn't bathed in over a month. As their communication grew closer, Aiden came up with a way to send water to Eva using a rope. However, this kind act didn't escape the zombies' notice, drawing their attention to him. As Aiden was trying to help Eva, the situation became chaotic as zombies started swarming. Discovering they were also trying to break into the apartment, Aiden immediately reinforced the door, then used the baseball bat to knock one down by pushing it off the balcony. With food supplies completely depleted, Aiden remembered he still had the key to Brandon's apartment. Knowing Brandon had died on the first day of the outbreak, he hoped to find some food there. Aiden risked leaving his apartment trying to avoid the zombies and finally made it, but upon entering, he saw the apartment in disarray and in the bedroom was a woman's body. In the kitchen, Aiden found only a little leftover food, but he discovered Brandon's climbing gear and realized it could be crucial for survival. While gathering items, Aiden was suddenly attacked by a zombie that broke in. He luckily escaped and returned to his apartment bringing some of Brandon's items. Among them, he found 2 walkie-talkies, which excited him immensely. This could be a chance to communicate directly with Eva. Aiden risked going downstairs dodging zombies and threw one walkie-talkie onto Eva's balcony. The next morning, they finally talked to each other via the walkie-talkies. Hearing a real human voice after months of isolation filled both with joy and hope. In his quest for more supplies, Aiden followed the bathroom vent to another apartment. At first it seemed empty, and he started collecting food. But then, he noticed the front door was blocked from the inside, indicating someone was still there. Indeed, he discovered an old man named Edward hiding in the apartment. First, both confirmed they weren't infected with the zombie virus. Edward agreed to share some food and alcohol, saying that due to his age, he didn't need much. Aiden breathed a sigh of relief and felt grateful, unaware of the danger ahead. Suddenly, Edward attacked Aiden, knocking him unconscious. When he woke up, Aiden realized he was tied up and in front of him was a woman who had turned into a zombie, Edward's wife. Edward confessed that his wife had been infected early on, and because he loved her too much, he had been feeding her animal meat and even human flesh, starting with their pet dog, then others in the building. Edward prepared to sacrifice Aiden as the next meal for his wife. Despite Aiden's pleas for mercy, Edward coldly approached. But at that moment, a sudden noise distracted Edward. Aiden seized the opportunity to untie himself and counterattack, pushing Edward toward his zombie wife. The scene reversed. Edward was attacked by his own wife. In the chaos, Aiden quickly grabbed some food and tools from the kitchen and left the apartment. At that time, he received a distress signal from Eva. Aiden rushed back to his apartment, looked across, and saw that zombies had invaded Eva's apartment. She was trapped on the balcony while the monsters approached. Determined to save her, Aiden climbed down from his building and coincidentally found a security guard's gun. He immediately used it to shoot back at the zombies surrounding Eva. However, the gunfire attracted more zombies, making the situation extremely dangerous. Aiden fought desperately, breaking through the horde, and finally climbed onto Eva's balcony. With zombies chasing closely, Aiden quickly jumped to the balcony below, nearly losing balance and falling. He swiftly cut the climbing rope he had used to reach Eva, preventing the zombies from following. Looking up, he signaled for Eva to do the same, his voice hoarse from stress. "Jump down, I'll catch you." Eva hesitated for a second, looking at the height that made her heart tighten, but then gritted her teeth and jumped. Aiden caught her hand in time and pulled her safely into the lower balcony. This apartment was fortunately still zombie-free, giving them a precious moment of respite amid the nightmare. For the first time since the outbreak began, Aiden and Eva faced each other, not through walkie-talkies or paper notes, but in the flesh. In the dim light from the hallway, they saw the exhaustion etched on each other's faces, but in their eyes there was still a spark of life. "Did you really come to save me?" Eva said. Aiden just nodded slightly, trying to smile despite his labored breathing. But they couldn't stop. The growls and shuffling footsteps grew closer, echoing from the stairs and surrounding hallways. Aiden said, "We have to get back to my apartment. There's still food and water there. This place isn't safe anymore." Eva nodded and the two began running through the dark hallway where the flickering lights of the failing electrical system made their shadows dance on the walls. On the way, zombies poured out from every direction from abandoned apartments. Aiden swung the baseball bat hard at one lunging toward them. Eva threw chairs and objects to block the path. In a critical moment, a zombie burst from a back door and Aiden couldn't react in time. Eva rushed forward, pushing him aside so the monster's bite missed. She grabbed a knife from the floor and stabbed it hard into its head. Both fell to the floor gasping but got up and kept running. Finally, after a deadly chase, they made it back to Aiden's building. The two slammed the door shut, blocked it with the refrigerator, then collapsed onto the floor, covered in blood. Aiden looked down at his body, seeing blood everywhere on his skin, and fear overwhelmed him. He thought he had been bitten. He whispered hoarsely, eyes fixed on the bloodstain on his arm, his face pale with despair. He slowly walked toward the balcony, his mind filled with one thought. If I turn into one of them, I'll kill her. Eva rushed over and grabbed his hand tightly. Tears streamed down as she said, "You risked your life to save me. If you jump, I'll be alone again. Please don't leave me." Aiden stood silent for a long time on the edge between despair and hope. He slowly removed his clothes, trembling as he examined every bloodstain on his body. Then miraculously, he realized there were no bites at all. It was all just zombie blood from those he had killed while protecting Eva. Aiden burst into laughter, a hoarse laugh full of relief. Eva burst into tears and hugged him tightly. The two sat leaning against the wall in the dark but quiet apartment, listening to the patter of rain outside the window. They locked the door tightly, blocking all exits, and shared the last half bottle of water. In that rare moment of peaceful breathing, Aiden held Eva's hand and whispered, "We're still alive. And as long as we're alive, there's still hope." Eva looked up with a weak but genuine smile. Outside the world was still plunged in darkness, but inside the small apartment there were still two people and a tiny spark of survival. The story ends there, amid ruin and horror, but also amid humanity and hope.